Welcome back to Healing MS. Talia is here, your dedicated host, and today I have with me David Lyons. David is a bodybuilder and former owner of fitness centers. He has made the choice to fight MS head-on through bodybuilding. He founded the MS Bodybuilding Challenge, and with his wife, they've created the MS Fitness Challenge to support people with MS in their efforts to stay as fit as possible, overcome limitations, and keep their bodies moving. David received awards for being a health advocate and got invited to be one of the National Fitness Hall of Fame founding partners. He was named the most dedicated MS fitness expert worldwide in both 2019 and 2020. And he was voted as one of the top 100 healthcare leaders by the International Forum on Advancements in Healthcare in 2020. He wrote 2 books and created a unique fitness website for the MS community called the Optimal Body Training Program for MS. Really impressive, David. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
That's one of the longer bios, introductions I've done in this.
And that was truncated a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I gave myself a little break. You're amazing. I think that most of the people that are actually listening to us already know who you are and had some experience with you through one of the channels that you opened for people with MS. But for those who don't, I would love for you to share your story from the beginning with MS till today.
Well, sure. I mean, let's go back to my diagnosis because I think that's, the basis of how this all started. I was a healthy athlete, worked out every day, was no longer competing in bodybuilding because I was in my 40s when I was diagnosed. But in 2006, at the age of 47, when I was working out, I started getting a really severe pain in this shoulder. And all of a sudden, I started to get numbness down my arm. The first thought is, am I having a heart attack? And then I quickly dismissed that because, I figured I don't have heart attacks. So I kept working out thinking, okay, well, maybe I have a pinched nerve. And I just ignored it. And I literally ignored it for several months to the point where it started to radiate down my body. So I was getting numbness, pain, tingling from the chest down. I could barely walk. I was pretty much paralyzed from the chest down, and they had to rush me into the hospital, but they weren't sure what was going on. So they sent me to a cancer hospital. I was living in Florida, in Orlando at the time, and they had me in the hospital for 5 days. But the first day, they sent in a brain surgeon who thought that what I had was a tumor or cancer in the brain. So his first line of attack was, let's cut your head open, take out this mass, and get you out of here. And I asked him, so if you're telling me that you're going to cut my head open, what happens? And he said, well, based on what this open MRI looks like, because I took an open MRI before I got into the hospital, which is what scared everybody. The open MRI is this big machine, as a lot of people know, that is not like a closed MRI. So it doesn't give you the clear pictures of the closed MRI, but I just didn't want to go into a closed MRI. They're claustrophobic, they're small. And, so I said, I'm not doing that. So the open MRI showed this mass, and this doctor's ready to pull this mass out. And I asked him, what happens? He said, well, where this mass is, it looks like if I remove it, you will be paralyzed from the waist down. And there's a chance that you could die on the operating table. So I said, so there's really no chance of me walking after this? And he said, well, I don't think so, but until we get in there, we don't know. I said, well, you're not experimenting on my head. I'm not going to do this. And he said, you're crazy because if it's cancer, you're going to die. I said, well, then I guess I'll die. While this was all going on, doctor walks out. He's, all mad at me because I'm not listening to him. But a nurse was listening to the story, and she came into the room and said, Mr. Lyons, there's a top neurologist here that works in the hospital, and I want to call him in because I think maybe there's something else going on. So he came in and he did a battery of tests. He did 6 hours of MRIs, which They had to drug me to get me in that MRI machine for 6 hours. So, and I'm sure you've had MRIs, so you know what those are like. So we did 6 hours of MRIs. We did the spinal tap. We did, the blood work. On the fifth day, he said, "You've got multiple sclerosis." I had no idea what MS was. I understood what muscular dystrophy was, so I kind of thought that's what I had. And he explained, "No, that's not what you have. You have a neurological disease. You will be in a wheelchair within 6 months because of all the damage that has happened to the left side of your body." Even after all of the drugs that they gave me, the cortisones and the prednisones and everything else, I still had no feeling from the left side of my body, my leg, my arm. It was a mess. So when I left the hospital on that sixth day when they released me, they basically sent me home saying, "Go on MS meds, get yourself a wheelchair, bodybuilding is over, and you're going to have to figure this out, on your own, because there's nothing we can do for you other than the direction that we're telling you." I didn't want to believe that. And as a person of faith, I said to the doctor when I left, I said, medicine, and that's great, but you don't know my God. And I don't believe that I'm going to be in a wheelchair. And I don't believe this is the direction that I need to go. So I went online when I went home and I started looking at what are people with MS doing and what really is MS and, what are the treatments? And to be honest with you, Talia, it was very, very depressing because at that time, and you're talking about like 15 years ago, there was really nobody out there being positive about MS. There was a lot of these little groups of people crying about it and saying how their lives are over and all the medications that they're taking. So for the first, I guess, almost year and a half of this diagnosis, I got depressed, and I went into this situation where I just did not want to leave the house. I went from about 200 pounds of muscle to about 160 pounds of nothing. I didn't work out. I didn't work. I didn't do anything. But, as I started going down that path, my friends who were bodybuilders, they kept coming over the house saying to me, "You got to get back into the gym. This is what you do." And I just didn't want to go because I was embarrassed. I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. I couldn't hold things. My hands wouldn't grip. I said, "How am I going to work out?" So this is why I went down that road of depression. But one morning, I clearly heard in my head, "Don't stay depressed. Get into the gym, do what you do best, and fight this thing. You're a fighter. And that's what you need to do." And that's when I started saying, I can do this if I go back to the gym and I do what I know best. And that's to get myself in top condition. So my friends helped me. They got me in and out of machines. They lifted my legs. They helped me strap my hand into the dumbbells so I could work out. After a few months, I went from 160 pounds to about 175 pounds, and I saw those muscles start coming back. And I got all excited. I said, "You know what? This can work." And I said, "I'm going to compete in a bodybuilding competition." Now I'm heading towards 50 years old. I was about 48 and a half at that time. And I actually trained and competed in a bodybuilding competition when I was 50 years old with MS against 150 healthy athletes. I did not go into a disabled division. I got myself up there. My legs were shaking. My body was shaking, but I still competed and I got a really nice trophy for the day. It was fantastic. But, my wife looked at me after that and she said, "Everybody's patting you on the back and saying, 'This is great. You're a strong guy. You're an inspiration.' But really, what are we doing to help people with MS by you being a bodybuilder and competing?" She said, "Dave, it's great for you and I'm proud of you. But if you want to make an impact in the MS community, you've got to teach them how to get better. It's not just about inspiring people because you're a bodybuilder, because not everybody could be a bodybuilder. But what are we going to do to help the MS community understand the importance of mindset, nutrition, and exercise in this battle?" And that's when my wife, Kendra, came up with the MS Fitness Challenge. I was calling it the MS Bodybuilding Challenge because I was challenging myself as a bodybuilder. But we had to take me out of the picture. And we had to look at the community of people with MS and say, how do we service them? How do we help them? It's not bodybuilding, it's fitness, it's mindset, it's everything that we have to do to beat this disease in a healthy way. But there was nothing out there that was giving the right direction for people with MS. Even my bodybuilding was not helping my MS. It was making me look good. I got myself up to 200 pounds again. I was looking great. I mean, but my MS was still my MS. My leg was still dragging. I couldn't squeeze my hand. I had to continuously wrap up my hands when I worked out. So I knew bodybuilding was not the answer. So I wasn't going to teach the MS community about bodybuilding. But what was I going to teach them, Talia? What was this direction? I went and I started looking at people that were saying that they knew about MS exercise. And I saw a lot of functional movements. They were doing leg lifts. They were trying to get your leg up and down. They were doing hip bridges. They were doing all these functional movements. So I started trying to do those functional movements. That didn't help me. I was still getting weaker. I was still not able to move. I still had the symptoms that I had, and I was not getting any more mobile or stronger by doing functional exercises. And that's when I said, I have a lot of experience as a trainer, as an educator in the fitness world for all these years. Let me investigate. Let me go into what the science is of the body, of MS, and what makes the body move. And that's when I started developing the Optimal Body Training Program for MS. That started about 10 years ago. And I started to implement these methods that I started to create on myself. And over a year and a half of doing it just to myself, I was able to squeeze my hand again. I was able to do this with my fingers. My legs started to work better. I was able to run on a treadmill. There were things that I was able to do that I couldn't do by following what they call functional exercise. But this was very specific. And I created methods that did three things that science proves works for MS. And those three things are, we have to create muscle fiber activation. How do we do that? Well, the science says that there's a chemical called acetylcholine in our brain. Acetylcholine moves muscles, but you have to have a high level of it to move muscles when you've got MS and the nerves are no longer working. They've done studies with athletes, and they found that if these athletes had a high level of acetylcholine, they were performing better. So I started to use that as a basis of how I developed my MS program. The other thing that we need is our brain to muscle connection or reconnection that was lost, and our muscle to brain reconnection. So it goes back and forth. Well, how do we do that? There's ways to do that, and I figured that out. The third thing is neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity, as most of us know, is taking those nerves that are no longer working due to MS, deleting them, saying we don't need you anymore, finding the nerves that do work and redirecting them where we want them to go. The problem with neuroplasticity is it's a term that's thrown out constantly by physical therapists and trainers, as if all you have to do is hip bridges and leg lifts and neuroplasticity happens. It does not. You have to force neuroplasticity. So those three things have to be created as processes in the body for you to get stronger and more mobile with MS. I took those three processes and found ways to make them happen. And I have about 10 different training methods within my Optimal Body program that I teach to my students and I teach to the members of my group that help them to implement those training methods, those exercise movements, those processes that have to happen and get their bodies stronger and more mobile. And tell you, it works 100% of the time. I've done this with thousands of people throughout the world, one-on-one like this, through my membership with Optimal Body. The testimonials are there by people that have done this, that were in wheelchairs and are now up and down and standing. People that could not run or walk up and down stairs well are now running up and down. I've got story upon story, which I could tell you about people that of lives have been changed, but not just because I created something out of the blue. I took science and I created a program based on science, how our body works, what happens with MS, and how to get ahead of this disease. And here I am at 62 years old, working out like I'm 32 years old and working with people all over the world doing the same thing.
That's an incredible story. You know what I admire the most is how when something, tragic in a way happens to human being in their lives, and then they flip it and actually make it their power and their way in making a difference in the world, in making a difference in other people's lives. And I admire what you do, and I'm very thankful that you dedicate your life to our community.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank you for that, but I don't really do this for people to thank me. I do this out of a passion to help the MS community. It's kind of emotional to me to do this when I watch someone I work with, or I see a post by someone who's in my group in the membership, and they're saying that they're doing things within weeks that they couldn't do before following other exercise programs. That's why I do this. I want to change lives. I want to impact people. I want people to understand just because you have MS does not mean that your life is over, and you can live a lifestyle of fitness with MS and have a great life and be able to do a lot of the things that you want to do. And whether that is I want to walk my dog around the block a few times, or whether I want to compete in a bodybuilding competition, everybody's different. Everybody's goals are different, and my calling is to help every single person with MS reach the goal that they want to reach through my program, because I know my program works.
Yeah. This is actually something that I talk about with almost everybody that I work with. Human being, we're designed in a way that, we're givers in our heart. We love doing for other people. We oftentimes will choose to do, consciously or not, for others more than we choose to do for ourselves. For other people, we'll get out of bed in the morning even if we don't feel good. So for people that have a disease like MS, to find the path, whether it's your career or it's just a volunteering gig or something, choose something, a space that you can give, that you can volunteer, that you can support other people, and you'll see that becomes a tool that helps you overcome your challenge. So that's amazing. You have it all in one package.
Well, this I feel is a calling. When I was diagnosed, I was very selfish about that. I wanted to make myself stronger. I wanted to make myself better. I wanted to show the world that I can beat this disease. And that was my motivation. But when that motivation turned to helping others, thanks to my wife really sitting me down and saying, is this what God wants you to do? Does he want you to be the big shot, competing in bodybuilding competitions for yourself? Or what is it that we really want to do? Where's your heart? When I dug down into my heart, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I knew that I needed to help people. And that was the shift in me. It wasn't that I woke up with MS and I was, rearing to go, I'm going to go and beat this disease. I had that initial thought, and then I went down the same path a lot of us go, and that's to get depressed about it. And I had to kick myself in the rear and say, hey, what are we going to do? Are we going to fall apart? Or are we going to live our life? But that selfishness at least got me into the gym and got me understanding what I needed to do. Once I got past myself and I was able to then focus on other people, it's been crazy. I mean, my charity, MS Fitness Challenge, is in 25 countries. We've helped tens of thousands of people get into fitness programs, most of it at no cost through the charity. I came out with the Optimal Body program, which is a paid membership, because that is a very different program. And it also takes, as you know, it takes a lot of money to do these videos and to run it. We've made it very affordable for the MS community. but I wanted to give them something that they can go into anytime, 24/7, and constantly be updated on new training methods, new ways of doing things. So in that membership, it's not only the exercises that we give new training methods pretty much every month, but we have nutrition advice, we have mindset advice. We are giving everybody a fitness package so that they can go in and start their life beating MS from day one.
So speaking of day one, what would be your advice, fitness-wise, for somebody that is newly diagnosed and listening to us now?
Well, the first thing is, and I'm going to defer to you because what you're doing is amazing because it's mindset. It's what do we do first? The first thing we do is we get our mind in the right place. Because if you listen to what I said about my story, my mind was not in the right place. I thought it was because I said to the doctor, I will not let MS beat me, but I got home and I let MS beat me. So it's the same thing with fitness. If you go into a fitness program without the right mindset, you're doomed to fail because you're never going to follow through unless your mind is ready and you've looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I am going to do this. I am not going backwards. I'm going forward and I'll never look back again. Once you get your mind in the right position, and I call this mental fitness. If you have mental fitness, you can have physical fitness, but you can't have physical fitness without mental fitness. It does not work. And I know many people try it. They make their New Year's resolutions. They try these 30-day beach body programs and insanity workouts, and they look good for a little bit, and they do it and excited, and boom, they go right back. If you don't put your mind into the lifestyle, you cannot be successful at this. This is not a race to the finish line. This is a lifestyle. This is an everyday thing, like getting up, eating, brushing your teeth. You've got to have the right mindset. You've got to eat right. You've got to exercise. Those are the things that you have to incorporate to beat this disease and get ahead of it. But you can't just exercise for the sake of exercising. You have to exercise in the right manner with the right training methods that are actually designed for your body to get ahead and beat MS. And that's where I come in.
I actually really love that you said lifestyle, because I found that the way we describe what we do in our mind can actually really change the results that we're creating and the level of motivation that we have. When people think of, oh, I'm going on a diet, or oh, I'm going on a certain program for my MS, our brain, our mind takes it as something temporary. Right. And then we get off it. But once we understand, oh, I'm going to change my lifestyle, it's my choice because it's something that will support what I want to create. And lifestyle, something in our mind, understand it's permanent. It's something that I'm shifting for me, for my life, for my, my family, my friends, the people around me, for a lifetime. We manage to get into that every day, wake up in a right mindset every day and sustain it.
Well, this is why we launched the membership. We felt that if somebody's committing a little bit of their funds every month to a program, that they're going to follow through. When everything is free, there's no value to it. You find that free things are great, and we love giving free things. I'm doing an 8-week challenge right now that's free. The problem with free is that you didn't invest in it. When you start investing, then you start paying more attention. So that membership gives them an accountability. It gives them a place to go to watch what we want to do. And I'm on the videos actually going through the workout. I don't just demonstrate it. I'm literally sweating with them, going through this workout, getting it done. And and if you remember, you'll see in there where I say, hey guys, I'm struggling just like you are on this last set. These last few reps are hard, but it gives them a place to go, and it gives them a lifestyle that they can get up in the morning, click on a button, whether it's on their phone or whether they're on a computer or their laptop, wherever they are, they have this lifestyle with them. They don't have to figure out how to get the lifestyle. It's there. So if it's there, they can follow it. If I make it easy for you to change your life, it makes it easy for you to beat MS.
Well said. Well said. So something that I'm interested in understanding, and I'm sure if I am, our listeners too, every person's MS is different. Every person has different, physical challenges that I don't know, either, they're dealing with every day or temporarily. But how can a fitness program that you create for like everybody can fit really everybody when they have their individual story?
Yeah, it actually does, because like I said, the three processes that have to happen in your body have to happen no matter what level of MS you have. So whether you're in a wheelchair or whether you're ambulatory and you're able to run and whatever with MS, you still need to create these processes for you to stay ahead. So when someone is in a wheelchair, they still need to do these movements. And we have an alternative workout for people that can't get out of the wheelchair so that they get strong while they're in the wheelchair and then are able to get out later. But it does not matter what level you are. The three processes are the three processes. I need them as strong as I am and as many years, and I have over 40 years in fitness doing this. I still need these processes. I have to continue. This is not something you can stop. You can't stop doing these processes and these workouts and these training methods. Otherwise, your body will end up going backwards. So whether you're at the level where you're having trouble like I did, where you can't squeeze your fingers, or whether you're perfectly fine with MS, you still need to have those processes going. So it really does not matter what level you're at. The program will work and it will get you stronger and more mobile at any level of MS that you're currently at. And again, don't take my word for it. Read the testimonials. There are people that are in wheelchairs that are giving testimonials about how they're able to get out of it now. I mean, we're literally getting people up and down out of those wheelchairs so that they're able to at one day throw that wheelchair away. Now, here's a point that you made that's very important. We're all at different levels of MS. So some people progress. I mean, I'm getting people tell me in 2 weeks they're progressing and getting better and stronger. Some people it's several months. It could take someone else 2 years. It took me a year and a half of utilizing my training methods to be able to do the things that I'm doing today. So there are people that I work with that are getting the results in 2 months that I got. We're all different. Our bodies respond differently. But the one thing that's constant, these training methods work. The three processes need to happen. And whether you're in a wheelchair or not, you need to follow this type of training methods.
Can you share with us the most inspiring story that you saw that right now pops in your mind?
Yeah, I could tell you one right now. So when I was up in Idaho, lived in Idaho for a couple of years. I worked in a nice gym and also a medical clinic with people with MS. And I had a woman that came to me for one of my free, I did a 12-week challenge for free, where my charity paid for us to work with people one-on-one for 12 weeks and help them to get better. So I had a woman who was at that time 75 years old who came to me. She was using a walker and a wheelchair, very hunched over, very miserable. She came and said, I want you, only you to train me. She wouldn't work with any of my trainers. It had to be me. So I said, okay. Her name was Lois. I said, okay, Lois, I'll do it. I said, but here's one thing. I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you're miserable, but you will follow what I tell you to do. And she said, okay, I will commit to that. Within a couple of months, she was sitting up straight, okay? Within 6 months, she was no longer using a wheelchair or a walker. Within a year of working with this woman, because after the 12 weeks were over, she hired me to work with her one-on-one. That's how much progress she was getting. So that miserable attitude became a positive attitude. Her whole way of thinking, her whole mindset changed. She, in a year of working with me, and I have all of this on video, she was then cutting down tree branches with an electric cutter like this when she couldn't even lift her arms up before. She was shoveling snow in the winter, and she was gardening in her garden. And then she told me that she ran up 2 flights of stairs. Now, this is a 75-year-old woman. She's now 77, probably going on 78. She's never using a walker or a wheelchair anymore.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stories like that. I mean, I could keep you here for 2 days just giving you stories. But Lois was like, I love Lois because she was so miserable when she came to me. And now, her daughter, she will always message me. They send me, emails saying, oh, you changed my mom's life and all this. So it was such a great story that's always in the front of my mind when somebody asks me about a story is Lois.
That's an amazing story. Amazing. I love, success stories like that. So much inspiration and, it gives hope to a lot of people.
Well, there's a lot of hope. I know that there's people that are listening to this and some are really struggling and they've got a tremendous amount of symptoms and they look at me and go, oh, the guy's got muscles and he's a bodybuilder. I can't be like that, and they feel that maybe it wouldn't work for them. Just because I'm a bodybuilder, throw that out. This is not about bodybuilding. This is what I do. I'm a bodybuilder. The people that I train, out of all the people that are in my groups and I work out with one-on-one, I would say that there's a handful that have become bodybuilders with MS. And I've actually gotten 4 people with MS to fitness and bodybuilding stages to top 3 in winning. I also had a gentleman that I took him through a training program because he wanted to compete in his gym's transformational competition. And he beat over 100 people that were healthy. He was the only one with a disability. And I hate to use the word disability, but they call it a disability. So he was the only one with a limit to his body, and he beat them because he followed my program. But it doesn't matter. I don't want anybody to be discouraged because they're in a wheelchair or they're really struggling. I want them to look at what I'm doing and not at me. Don't look at me and the bodybuilding. Look at what I'm doing with people with MS. Look at those people. That's who you should be inspired by, because there's not one person who's listening to this right now that can't get stronger and more mobile following what I'm doing. So you've got to have that positive mindset. You've got to say, I can do this. And once you do that, it becomes a lot easier to follow a program like mine. But if you're not going to be prepared and you're going to have an attitude of, that's not going to work for me, then that's not going to work for you.
100%. Our mind has proven to create our life so many times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Definitely. David, you touched something that I think really important to talk about. You said earlier that your program is important, or this type of exercise is important for whether or not you have any disability right now or completely free of symptoms. And I want you to touch it because I noticed that a lot of people think, oh, if I don't have right now, if I don't really suffer with a physical disability from my MS, I don't need to do certain things. And it sounded to me like you're talking about preventative exercise. Can you touch on that?
Oh, absolutely. You can't look at where you're at now. Like right now, I mean, I could run on a treadmill, I could jump rope. That doesn't mean that if I stop exercising the way that I'm exercising and stop following my own training methods, that a month from now, MS is not going to attack my legs and have me crippled. MS is brutal. It's relentless. It doesn't stop. Just because we don't have symptoms, you don't know what's going to happen 6 months down the road. But if you are physically strong and your body is creating the processes like your muscle fiber activation, your neuroplasticity, your brain to muscle reconnection, if you're constantly doing that, if MS attacks you, you're strong enough to get past it. Okay, I've had relapses. I mean, people look at me and go, oh, he has got no symptoms. That's not true. I don't feel my hand. I can't feel this, but I can move it. I can squeeze it. Okay, that's because I became strong, because my brain is connected to all the muscles in my body. I'm able to do what I want to do. If I stop doing this, what do you think is going to happen? I'll go backwards. Just because my symptoms are not severe and I could jump rope and I could do those things, that doesn't mean that 2 months from now, MS is not going to want to take that away from me. So I've got to prevent it. I've got to be ahead of it. What I say to people is normally MS is here, and you're chasing it, and MS keeps going here, and it keeps taking you down. We flip that. So now you're here. MS is doing this, and you keep going here because you keep getting stronger. So if you don't have any symptoms now, God bless you. Stay that way. But you got to train like this so that a year from now, 2 years, 10 years, whenever that time comes, that MS says, you know what, I'm going to take you down. You say, no, you can't. I'm strong. My brain's connected to my muscles. I've got high acetylcholine production. My muscle fibers are activated. My neuroplasticity is working. MS, you cannot take me down. You cannot get ahead of me. I'm ahead of you. That's where this comes in for people that don't have the symptoms and feel that they're perfectly fine. You still want to be strong, mobile, and ahead of this disease for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Is there a way, can you give a recommendation maybe for our listeners to start doing something at home that could, support any of the three, the neuroplasticity, the brain muscle connection, the acetylcholine alone to start with, if they at this point for any reason cannot jump on a program or hire you or somebody else?
Very, very difficult without a specific program because it's very focus driven. This is a focus driven and thought based program. And unless you understand how to get your focus and your thought into the muscle that you're working, it's very hard to do it without the instructions. See, I could tell you, hey, put your thought into this and do this by thinking. But unless you follow a program that really explains it and has that instruction consistently and that reinforcement, it's very hard to just do this on your own. I have a trainer. I work with someone who reinforces what I'm doing for my bodybuilding. Now, I don't need him to do it for my MS because I've got that under control. That's my own training methods. But I still have to have accountability for my bodybuilding. Otherwise, I won't do certain things because human nature is we're lazy. We don't want to do certain things. And we want to have someone tell us do it. So when it comes to that, yes, sure, I could tell you, be focused when you're exercising and all this, but unless you're doing exercises specifically and you understand what that focus means, it's hard for me just to say, do this, this, and this at home, and this is why we started the program. And it's really not expensive. It's not something that it's going to break the bank to be involved in. But again, very, very hard to just say, do this, and that's going to help you.
I see. All right. David, anything else you'd like to share today with our listeners before we're ending?
Just, guys, the most important thing that you could do is make a decision to do something. You have to, and whether it's following me or not, I mean, look, I'd love everybody out there to be in my program. I know that my program is by far better than anything out there for MS and exercise. But if you're not following me, do something. Keep your body moving. But more importantly, before you even do that, make sure you look in the mirror and you say to yourself, I'm going to beat this disease. I'm going to live the life that I want to live. Then step into the exercise program and the diet regimen that you need, and maybe alternative treatments that you want to take. But if your mind isn't there, your body won't follow.
Yes, I love it. Great closing. David, thank you so much for being here with me. I love this time together, and I'm looking forward to keep collaborating in the future.
Well, it's my pleasure. I look forward to working with you also, Talia.